everyone. I'm Jim Longworth, and welcome to another edition of Triad Today. Coming up later on, our infamous roundtable gets together. There's no telling what kind of controversies they're going to get into, but between now and then, some great guests and important information coming your way, including a discussion about what you can do if you have an eye emergency. All that and much more coming your way. But first, let's start talking about a playground, and it's a very special, exciting playground that's under construction, and we have two very special people with us that are going to talk about it. However, Lori Bates, our director, as we see our guest, I'm going to pretend that the lady next to me doesn't exist for a second. I'm going to go to the outside to my friend Lee Kirkman. And Lee, of course, is a communications specialist with Cromley Roberts, attorneys at law. Lee, do the honors and tell us who this lovely lady is seated between us.
Oh, we are so excited to have her here with us today. You know, when I was here for the last segment, we talked about how I love being at Cromley Roberts and because of the great things that we do. And one of the things that we also do is we support several nonprofits within the city of Greensboro.
That's right.
And within the state of North Carolina, for that matter. And we are a sponsor for the Prolific Park, the inclusive playground that they are building.
Very exciting.
And this is Kelly Prohl, who is co-founder. She's the wife of Ricky. And
Super Bowl champion Ricky Prohl.
Exactly.
That's right.
And they are the founders of the park, and they are the ones who have built this incredible playground. I was there this morning, and it's amazing.
Kelly, I want to get to the playground in a second, but let's first remind everybody where Prolific Park is and what it offers in general.
Yeah, it is in Greensboro, off Jessup Grove and Horsepen Creek. So if you know where Caldwell Academy is, it's right next door to that.
Now, also, you and your husband co-founded the Power of Play Foundation. And in just a few seconds, give us a thumbnail sketch of what the foundation does.
Yeah. Well, our mission is, it's simple. It's to serve children in need. So, you know, it's a wide variety of needs, but it's financial assistance, whether it's, you know, serving a child that may need some type of social need, a physical need,
right,
mental, spiritual, and so forth.
And you guys work with them in sports and have all sorts of programs and after-school things. I just think it's great. Now, let's get to the playground, because we have various images that we'll see throughout the segment about it being under construction. But what does this inclusive playground mean? What kind of things will it include? What's it for?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to be honest. This was not something that was our idea initially. It was brought to our attention, and so we've become very aware the need for this in our community. So it's a playground that is wheelchair accessible. It'll be open to the public when Prolific Park is open, and it's also served by the SCAT bus system, which is awesome.
Oh, yeah.
And so, you know, it's wheelchair accessible. It was really neat, you know, this morning when Lee and I were there in the building process, just to hear more about actually how children in wheelchair can transition onto a slide or the spinner. But really, you know, becoming aware that children with special needs, you know, they deserve to play with children, typical children, you know, as much as anybody, just to play together.
And have access to these things that it's normally they're sort of blocked from having access, and that's not so with yours. Now, Lee sent me an email, and I want to make sure I get this right, about the ribbon cutting, and it's Wednesday, July 17th, 11 a.m. Prolific Park. And so I'm going to put up on screen prolificpark.com, which is good to have there too. And before we run out of time, I also want to put up cromleyroberts.com, which has the Roberts Center for Leadership. And also a plug for Kim Roberts' Red Effect Boutique, which helps in raising money for all sorts of things to help women, and she does a lot of great things. You know, Lee, you guys do things with scholarships. There's so many things you're into, right?
Oh, we do, and and that's one of the wonderful things in being a part of this new inclusive playground for Prolific is they do the exact same thing. We, the best part of being a part of Cromley Roberts is not only do we work for our clients, which they have lots of clients who come to their gym to work out and to take classes and that kind of thing, but then they reach out and help those who may not have the resources, the money, or even know about the availability of things.
Right.
And much like Cromley Roberts does to reach out into the community and help, that's what they're doing.
Well, I just applaud you guys, Kim and Chris and the whole team over there at Cromley Roberts for doing that. And Kelly, I'm just looking forward to seeing this up close. I've been hearing about it for a while, and I know you're very proud of what's going on.
It's pretty amazing to have been out there for a day and a half and really watch the community and the volunteers build this thing literally together. And we can't thank, you, Lee, and Crumley Roberts, and Kim and Chris for all your support.
And we're just so proud of what
Yeah,
you're doing.
Thank
Well,
you.
Kelly, I'm very proud of you and Ricky. Tell them I said hello.
Thank you, Jim.
All right. All right, we'll be back right after this. On Triad Today, always glad when some of the good folks from Forsyth Plastic Surgery can drop by, especially one of their esteemed surgeons, and we have one with us right now, my good friend. Dr. Gil Kingman is here. He's a surgeon with Forsyth Plastic Surgery, been there for many, many years, and thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Good to see you
Great
again.
to be here.
You know, we want to talk about some non-invasive, less invasive things, but I just want to say up front before we get to that you guys just do a tremendous job in very complex and major surgeries, breast reconstruction, because you have your own surgical suites. I mean, you do it all there, right?
Well, the breast reconstruction, for example, sometimes those are larger surgeries. We do those at the hospital.
Right.
Our suite we use mostly for the cosmetic surgery, although those can be sizable surgeries as well. And healthy
Right.
patients, they
Right.
get a good service.
But what I wanted to get at today, and I just wanted to preface by saying you guys do everything, but let's talk about the less invasive and non-invasive things. Cool sculpting. What is cool sculpting?
Well, cool sculpting we've had for many years with our partners from Allergan, and basically what it does is it allows for freezing of fat under the skin. Turns out fat is very sensitive to cold temperatures, so when you freeze it, it goes away.
Fat right under the skin.
Exactly, exactly. So there's a handpiece that goes on the area that's being treated for about 35 minutes or so, and then you move it to another area and treat that. So an abdomen might be 3 or 4 areas.
And of course, it's not for everybody, because somebody like me, I'm very overweight in that area, so you can't be too overweight, because then you're sort of more of a candidate for liposuction, right?
Exactly, and so we have people come in sometimes asking if they're a candidate for cool sculpt, and they might be better served with surgery. Now, you can have cool sculpting and have multiple treatments, but as you get into many treatments, it can kind of resemble the price for surgery, so it's kind of a bang for your buck.
6 of one and half dozen of the other. But there's no recovery time from cold sculpting, right?
No, that's the beauty. There's no taking time off from work, there's no bruising, there's none of that, and go back to work after your treatment, basically.
Can you have any number of treatments with that, or are you restricted?
Yes, usually several treatments over a few months, and then we kind of wait and just see what kind of result that gets, but then within 2 or 3 months, you could have more treatments.
Now, I saw something on an email, I think, that you sent me, said cool tone, and I want to understand what that is and how that's different from cool sculpting.
Well, cool tone is really taking contouring to the next level. So for people who are already in pretty decent shape, cool tone is a device also with our partners from Allergan, and what that does is it provides what we call magnetic muscle stimulation. So it stimulates the muscles to contract much more than you or I could do with crunches or anything.
Right.
And so it builds and tones the muscle. So
Wow.
for someone who has a small amount of fat, enough so the muscle will show, they can really be sculpted.
All right, before I forget, let me go back to the cool sculpting thing for just a second. Is any kind of anesthetic required when you're doing something like freezing, or is it uncomfortable at all while you're doing it?
No, good question. No, not at all. Patients will feel a little bit cold, but not uncomfortably so. They just kind of sit there and read a magazine while the treatment's going on,
Right.
and no problems.
But as opposed to something like if I come in for liposuction, then there's going to be some kind of a local anesthetic or
Well,
something?
yeah, most liposuctions that we would want to be extensive would require general anesthesia, and that's how we do most of them. But for very small areas, those can be done in a local anesthesia, but still a little pinching and numbing.
Now, folks
situation.
are always concerned, Doc, about things like cost, insurance, things like that. And so if they're listening to you right now on the radio or watching us on TV, they might be wondering, okay, this is some good information, but is there a fee for coming in and just talking to you, or do I need a referral from a physician to come in and talk with you?
We don't require physician referrals. There are fees for consultations, and those can be reduced by just signing up to get emails from us. That would be $40 if
Wow.
you sign up for our email.
Those are good emails.
And
too.
we do charge for the consults because people who come will find the doctors spend a lot of time with these people. It's not you're seen by staff and the doctor says, hey, okay, let's
Right.
go. I mean, we sit down, full exam. Really what we want to do is diagnosis. What is your problem and how do we fix it?
You sort of have to be a surgeon and a psychologist all in
Well,
one there.
that
That's
helps.
right. Up on screen, ForsythPlasticSurgery.com is the website. Please check that out. Lots of good information on there, and videos and news. There's just a wealth of information. Again, for our radio listening audience, ForsythPlasticSurgery.com. Dr. Gil Kingman, thanks for coming by, sir.
Thank you.
Good to see you
Again,
again.
sir.
All right. We'll be right back after this. Now on Triad Today, time to talk about robotics. Wait a minute, I don't know anything about robotics, but two people with me do, in the sense of what that robotics can do to stimulate kids. And there's just some fascinating things going on at Inmar. We're going to meet our very two special guests. Next to me, Sharon Joyner-Payne, you've seen before on the show, Executive Vice President of Corporate Communications and Great Teams at Inmar. And next to her, George Peterson is a software engineer at Inmar. He's also a mentor for the Girls on Fire robotics team, and I'll brag on George just a little bit further. He's also Executive Director of Winston-Salem's Robotics Center, founded by Inmar Chairman and CEO David Mounts. So welcome to both of you.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Sharon, let me start with you. Now, you guys have been a leader in offering opportunities for young people, especially girls who want to pursue a career or thinking about it in science, technology, that kind of thing, the STEM realm. Remind us about some of those programs and why you're so involved.
Well, Inmar is committed to actively participating in the company to really develop those STEAM skills, which are science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics, because it's so important in today's economy. And really what's great is anybody can learn those, because if you have the curiosity and you have a willingness to learn and you love to solve problems, then you really can thrive in that. And what's so cool about the robotics is that it's such a fun way for young people to really develop those skills, as well as the soft skills like teamwork, which is so critical for the technology economy.
Now, George, what is exactly is the Robotics Center? What's that all about?
Well, as Sharon mentioned, we're very involved in the robotics programs. Inmar especially is a big supporter of that. And what the center is a space for students to come and learn about robotics and really become successful in that. There's a lot of different parts to that, but we really believe that STEAM is something that anyone can go pro in.
Right.
There's really great activities like sports, which are wonderful, but not everybody can go pro.
Right.
But almost anybody can go pro in a STEAM career, and so that's kind of why we want to direct it that way.
Now, you guys have also offered some robotics camps. What is
That's
that
right.
about?
Yes, so we just finished one of those about 2 weeks ago, and there's a program called SciTech, if you're familiar with Winston-Salem State University and with Wake. And what they do is they bring students in from all over the area. They charge them, I think it's something like $10 for the whole 2 weeks. And that gets them into the entire STEAM program where they learn about chemistry, they learn about all kinds of different science. And part of what they've been doing is coming to the Robotics Center and learning about robotics and coding with us as a part of that
So
program.
as part of the camp, they go to the center.
Yes, correct.
But the center is not exclusive in the sense that kids and various folks can come to the center, and what do they do? Make an appointment, or is there a schedule they can come and learn, or what?
It's fairly fluid. We have a couple of robotics teams like Girls on Fire that meet there on a pretty regular basis. The Salem Academy robotics teams, the Code Sisters and Sisters of the Motherboard meet there fairly regularly as well. Then we also have the camps, and then also essentially if somebody gets in touch and says, I'd like to make use of the Robotics Center, then we open it up
And
for
of course,
them.
Sharon was here before talking about the intern program, which goes hand in hand with all of this, really making, of course, we're talking about older folks now, you know, in their late teens, early 20s, that want to come in, that and have a college career that leads them in directions, maybe even coming back to work for Inmar. I guess as we wrap up, Sharon, what's the benefit to young people, to Inmar, to the community at large for doing all these things?
Well, I think it just helps grow our talent base within the community, because we help them develop the skill sets that they need for all the ways that the economy is changing in the world of technology. So we're always looking to develop and get great talent on our team.
Oh yeah, so for that standpoint, you and David Mounts are selfish, because you want all the great talent. You want all the great talent to come in there. They're still trying to hire me as an intern.
We are.
Now,
We are.
for more information, I want to put up some things on the screen here. Roboticscenter.org is something I want you to check out. And Girls on Fire 5679.com. Check that out too, is a great website. And the general website for information about Inmar is inmar.com. And I'll say it again for the radio listening audience, roboticscenter.org, Girls on Fire 5679.com, and inmar.com. And to George and Sharon, thanks for doing this.
Thank
for having
you.
us.
Thanks for having us.
We'll be right back after. On Triad Today, at the beginning of the show, I mentioned very briefly that we were going to talk about what we can do if we have an eye emergency. Well, it's time to talk about that right now with a very special guest and a very exciting service that she created and is offering. On my right is the lovely Dr. Anika Goodwin. She's founder of something called Eye Emergency MD, and you'll see when her title is put across the screen, Eye, that's like EYE, and then Emergency MD. Let's find out all about that. First, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Jim. Thanks for having me.
Let's talk about some of first, what is iEmergency MD? I mean, what is that as a service?
iEmergency MD is a telemedicine service that is specifically made to address eye issues. So oftentimes when people have eye issues, they would end up going to their primary care doctor or really not be certain where to go.
Right.
And so as an ophthalmologist, I was frequently seeing people coming to me asking me, what should I do about this? Is this an emergency? Should I go to the emergency room? So iEmergency MD is the solution to that issue. It allows from the palm of your hand or your laptop or your tablet for you to see a board certified eye physician for any acute eye issue that might occur.
Wow, and when you say see, they really will see you because you're seeing them there.
Absolutely. So if you are in any way familiar with FaceTime or Skype, it is that type of experience. You're able to go through the app or through the website, click on a button and fill out a little bit of registration information, and then you're able to be connected with an eye physician remotely.
Wow. I want to get into that more in just a second, but let's just, for a point of reference, let's talk about 3 or 4 types of conditions that might fit the bill where you could get online or get on, use the app and do that. You sent me an email one day and said pink eye is one of them. What is pink eye?
Pink eye is probably the most misunderstood term in medicine, to be honest with you. Pink eye is a lot of different things. It is one of the things that we as eye physicians see most often. It's very common, but it can have a lot of different causes, which is why iEmergency MD is so special. It allows us to break down the cause by what is actually the problem and treat the problem. It could be a virus, it could be a bacteria, it could just be an allergic reaction.
Sure.
So pink eye is a huge misnomer.
If I have floaters going around, is that something I should immediately get on the app and get taken care of?
Floaters can be a normal age-related change, but if you're noticing more floaters than usual, or they have an accompanying strobe light sort of effect, those are things that you should jump on the app or go to your eye doctor immediately.
And blurry vision. I mean, all of us have blurry vision from time to time. At what point do you say, yeah, I better get on this iEmergency MD?
When your vision is blurry enough that it is preventing you from being able to do your daily activities, and when that blurry vision is more than just transient, it is persisting over days to a week, that is a time that I would be concerned about the blurry vision.
Now, when I go to this app, and of course, as my wife Pam knows, I'm technologically deprived. I just don't understand anything, but she tries to explain it to me. But when I go to this app or something, and I go into iEmergency, and I say, gee, I've got this problem, I've got swollen eyelids, or I've got blurry vision, is there a fee charge for being seen by an eye specialist?
There is a fee, Jim. There's a $75 flat fee regardless of your insurance status. So we tried to create an opportunity for anyone to have access to a highly specialized eye care physician, whether or not they have insurance. And so that flat fee will get you right in touch face-to-face with an eye physician.
Why did you, I guess this is a silly question in a way, because maybe you've answered it, but what made you want to start this service? I mean, it sounds so innovative and so helpful, and it's going to make a difference, I guess, in a lot of people's lives, but what was the thing that spurred you on to want to do it?
As a physician, I have many other colleagues who would call on me to ask me eye questions. And these are other people who went to medical school, know how to navigate the healthcare system, know how to navigate a hospital or an emergency room. And they were often completely bewildered by whether or not this was something to go to the emergency room for or not. Most people hate going to the emergency room.
Oh, yeah.
Long waits, you don't know who else is going to be there and what else you're exposed to while you're there. And so that was their concern. And I noticed this trend to be ongoing. And so I kind of thought, if these physicians don't know where to go for acute eye issues, I know the lay public probably doesn't.
Man, I'm glad you've done this. Up on screen, I want to share this with folks. iEmergencyMD.com is one way you can find out more information. And for the radio listening audience, I'll say it again, iEmergencyMD.com. Please check that out. It gives you all sorts of information about what to do and how to access the service. Dr. Anika Goodwin, thanks for doing this.
Thanks for having me.
All right, my friend. We'll be right back after this. Time for the round table, and on my immediate right, but always the political left, the great broadcaster journalist Ogie Overman. Next to him is the beautiful and talented Carol Andrews, who is an author, and is it author or authoress?
Author.
Author, yeah. Author, public speaker, and the face of ABC 45 and much more. And next to her is Keith Granberry, a man who spends his days watching Fox News.
You didn't call me beautiful.
No, well, you are.
I'll call you
We thought you would say that. You're going to end up saying that about yourself.
That's
Anyway,
right, that
Keith
is.
Granberry, founder of Helping Hands Consultants, doing great work with economic development across the globe. All right, guys and gals, state lawmakers are considering a ban on smoking hemp. Law enforcement agencies say that's a good idea because they can't tell whether somebody's smoking pot or hemp, the sheriff's deputies and the police. Do you think we should make it illegal to smoke hemp, Ogie?
No, that's not a problem. That's not even an issue. It's going against the grain. The trend is toward legalization. It's just kind of dumb, really.
Be a waste of time.
Well, plus it's kind of dumb to smoke hemp. You can't get a buzz off of it. What's the point?
Well, I didn't know that.
Well, you
You
should.
learn something every day.
Stick around me, Jim.
How do I top that?
Carol,
I don't know the difference between the two, so I can't really.
you don't care whether it's legal
No.
or illegal. Keith,
I think you can't make stuff illegal that you're now making billions of dollars off of. If you're going to make money off it, then it needs to be legal. It doesn't
All right.
make sense.
and again, next to me is Buzz Overman. In an effort to reduce traffic accidents and fatalities, several U.S. senators want to enforce a federal speed limit of 65 miles per hour for big trucks. Good idea or bad idea, Ogie?
I would not be against that. It's 65 in most places anyway, and they can be hazardous when they're going 85 trying to beat a deadline.
Ms. Andrews?
Well, I just don't think you can penalize just the truckers because the truckers aren't really the ones that are causing most of the accident. We got to do something about this in driving.
Texting and driving. Yeah,
I
Keith?
think the regulations on truckers would be ineffective because at nighttime that's when the most of them are on the road and they're going way above the speed limit anyway.
All right. Presidential candidate Elizabeth Warren and others believe that cabinet secretaries of education should only be named if they have experience as public teachers. Do you agree with this proposal, or would it unfairly exclude non-teachers from serving? Ogie, I know you're a big fan of Betsy DeVos.
Oh, yeah, nuts about her. You know, we wouldn't be talking about this if Trump hadn't appointed the most inept, unqualified cabinet in the hit. There's nobody on there that's qualified.
Yeah, right.
And I would say for the Department of Education, some teaching experience, it just stands to reason you would want it.
Carol?
I don't think you can exclude any group of people, and I honestly, just an answer, think if Trump had said, I'm appointing the Pope, people would find something wrong with him too, just because it's Trump.
But you don't want to exclude anybody
No,
from
I
being.
don't think we should exclude
Keith,
anybody.
should you be a teacher to be able to be education secretary?
No, you should not. I think that there are people out here who are not teachers but have experience in educating people. You educate people. Ogie's educator, you're educator. That doesn't mean that.
And you have administrative experience. You ran a large urban
Absolutely.
league
So, yeah.
organization,
Yeah.
so you could be education
Yeah.
secretary, but you haven't been a public
Yeah,
teacher.
you just need somebody who has common sense.
Yeah. All right.
you
Speaking of common sense presidential candidates, former Congressman Beto O'Rourke, as I call him an RFK wannabe, wants to impose a war tax on all non-military families in order to better care for veterans of, as he says, future wars. I'm not sure exactly what he means, but is this a good idea or a bad idea? Ogie?
I'm not either, I mean, I like Beto, but he's kind of out there, but I don't understand that at all. I don't get it.
Yeah, Carol.
We have to take care of our veterans. We have to take care of their families. I don't think this is the way.
Keith?
How about imposing a tax on his debate performance last? Let's work on that.
It was taxing. It was taxing just to watch it.
He can do better. He
That's
can
right.
do better.
Brian, how much time do we have? Brian's getting ready to go out of town. I think he's already left. Nike has planned to release a patriotic shoe for 4th of July, which would have been embossed with the old colonial flag. But Nike withdrew the shoes after former NFL QB Colin Kaepernick protested. Here's the question. Given that Betsy Ross had nothing to do with 21st century racial profiling by police, did Kaepernick dilute his own cause, and should Nike have given in? Mr. Overman.
I'm afraid he did. You know, I've supported his cause in principle. His tactics are questionable. And I even liked him, Nike making him a spokesman. But this really I couldn't connect the two. What's the big deal?
Carol.
I don't think it does anything to Kaepernick. I think Nike loses in this because you're just saying there's only one person that you listen to when there's an entire population that might have bought those shoes.
Hey.
I disagree with both of them. Number one, I think Colin Kaepernick's his positions have empowered many people who wouldn't have taken the position otherwise.
That's true.
And the second thing, I think that we have to look at the entire history of the United States. And their stock went up 4% after they pulled
When
the
they
shoe.
pulled it.
So I think it was a great business
Interesting.
opportunity.
That's interesting. All right, very quickly, Krispy Kreme will now deliver donuts to a lot of businesses and homes where it's available, but they'll add on a delivery fee and a tip, which makes a dozen glazed donuts twice the price of normal, about $20. Guys and gals, do you think this is going to be a successful service, and would you pay $20 for a dozen donuts, Ogie?
They won't be delivering it to my house, but you know, it may work.
You think it'll work?
I mean, I love Krispy Kreme, but at $20 a pop, I don't think
Carol,
so.
will it work?
I think it depends on the day and who needs the gift.
Keith?
Yeah, I'm with Carol. I think if it depends on the day, and if it's a major party, then it would. But just every day, I
Right.
don't think so.
And finally, China has made it illegal for older men like me to wear T-shirts that are rolled up to expose their bellies. Guys and gals, would you like to see that law passed in America? And I guess I'm specifically thinking Keith and Ogie, would you want to expose your belly in public? Carol, would you want to see us old guys expose our bellies in public? So it's a multiple question. Quickly, Ogie.
You shouldn't impose a law against it. That's dumb. But depending on the circumstances, I'm not going to expose my belly. I'll expose more than that, but not just my belly. That's
Carol,
a bad look. It's
Carol,
just
do
a
you
bad
want
look, Jim.
Do you want to see any of that, Carol?
I got nothing.
Keith, are you
My
willing to
eyes
show
hurt
your?
I have a
Keith?
six-pack, so absolutely.
Oh,
Why not?
boy.
Why
that
not?
coming. Yeah.
I'll tell you.
I feel good about myself.
I think you just had a six-pack. I think that's what the problem is. For all of us here, I want to mention something here. This is good. In a recent address, Pope Francis urged hairstylists to refrain from the sin of gossiping. The Pope referred to hair salons as, quote, modern temples of cheap talk, which also happens to be the slogan for Fox News.
All right.
Now, for all of us,
Yes.
do you like that, Ogie?
I love it, man.
All right.
You're right.
For all of us here, and Carol didn't like that. For all of us here and six-pack Granberry, we'll be back next week. I'm Jim Longworth. We'll see you next week.